Okay, we are looking at F, number 1F. So first things first, I can try to factor this, but I have to get it equal to 0. When I have a quadratic, I always, to solve it, all three of these, I have to have them equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 10, and I get x squared plus 3x minus 10, and I can try to factor it. A times c is negative 10, b is 3, a, so 1x. What multiplies to give me negative 10 and adds to give me 3? Well, that would be negative 2 and positive 5. So I get x plus 2 and x minus 2 equals 0. Well, now it's just like the two we just did, and we're going to set them equal to 0 and solve. So I would add 2, x equals 2, minus 5, x equals negative 5. And there's my answer. Okay, so that's with factoring. Now, if we look at G, if I try to factor this, I end up with 6, 25. I cannot find anything that multiplies to give me 25 and adds to give me 6. So I'm going to go ahead and use my quadratic formula. So I'm going to set it up as the skeleton like we talked about before. And I get B is 6, B is 6, A is 1, C is 25. And I'm going to simplify the three pieces. So this becomes negative 6. 2 times 1 is 2. And then we use the calculator to type just the inside of the house. So, ignore my dirty screen. Okay, so I have 6 squared minus 4 times A times C. If y'all hear my children, I'm sorry. And I get negative 64. Well, I know because of the negative, I have to make it positive and put an I. I also know that this is going to simplify, because that simplifies, and 64 is 8. So this becomes 8i. If I simplify, negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So there's my answer. Negative 3 minus 4i, negative 3 plus 4i. Now this next one, I have to get rid of the denominator. So I'm going to multiply this whole thing by 4. And when I distribute, that cancels, and I have negative 3x squared. 4 times 4x is 16x. 4 times negative 4 is negative 16, and it already equals 0. I'm going to go ahead and just use my, quadratic formula. So negative b is 16 plus or minus b squared minus 4 times negative 3 times negative 16 all over 2 times negative 3. Now, one thing I do want to say, like if you go back to F, you can do this in the calculator, especially because this one has pretty. So if you go to your y equals, especially if these are multiple choice, you do x squared plus 3x minus 10, and you can do second graph, and I see that it touches at negative 5, which is one of my answers, and 2, which is my other answer. Okay, you can also just do it in the table, and you're looking for where y equals 0. There's at 2, and there's at negative 5. Okay, now if you type this one in, you only get one of your answers. So if it's multiple choice, that can help you. However, you don't find the other answer. So if we need to solve it, I can do it here. So type just in the house. If y'all hear my kids screaming, I'm sorry. And I get 64. So knowing that, I get negative 16 plus or minus the square root of 64 over negative 6. Well, I know the square root of 4 is a perfect square, so I can type this in my home screen. So I have alpha y equals, enter, negative 16 plus the square root of 64 over negative 6, which I'm going to turn into an improper fraction, 4/3, and then I can type it negative 16 minus the square root, 64 over negative 6, and I get 4. So it's 4/3 and 4.